Successful Minds with Patricia Barnowski-Schneider, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet. Hear their stories and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Successful Minds with Patricia Barnowski-Schneider is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Patricia Barnowski-Schneider.
Hello and welcome back to Successful Minds. I'm your host, Patty Baranowski-Schneider. Today I'm joined by Amanda Harris, a psychic, mentor, healer, therapist, and soul guide. So welcome, Amanda. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you so much for having me, Patty. I'm very excited to connect with you today.
My pleasure.
I am Amanda Harris, as you mentioned. I am a wife, a mother of 3, and I live my life with a very firm purpose to support, empower, and heal others. Absolutely love what I do, in absolute alignment with my soul purpose, and love to share my journey on how I arrived where I am today. I'm in this space where I absolutely, authentically love every single aspect of my life. And I do, Patty, feel that I've kind of cracked the code on this human journey in terms of being able to move through these challenges that we experience in the human form.
That's awesome. I mean, everybody wants to know that code, because we all go through. I always say it, life doesn't come with instructions. We never know what our purpose is here. Everybody has their own viewpoints, but we never know. I mean, so we kind of just, and everybody's looking for happiness, but everybody's going in every direction. So if there was like a secret code to help people, by all means, everybody wants this.
Right. And I think that's, we are here to remember. I often, as a psychic, I channel a lot during my sessions. I work with predominantly women, and also but mostly women, and we work on transformation. Where are you now? Where are you desiring to be, and how can you get there? And it's often a bit of guidance in supporting them to remember. When we are in spirit form, Patty, when we are back as just energy, we are all knowing. We are just love. That's all we have. We don't have any of these human emotions, the frustration, the fear, the pain, the sadness, the hurt, the guilt. They're human emotions. That's why we come here, to experience that. And the analogy that my guides provided with me a long, long time ago to a client was, when you are born, you experience birth amnesia. This amnesia, so that you forget. You forget that you are all knowing. You forget that you come here for a purpose. You forget that, you are here to experience the very humanness of the journey, the challenges, in order for your soul to grow. And, when we have this amnesia, we are born into the family we choose, and we look to our caregivers to make sense of the world in which we arrive. And we are programmed from that beginning, right? From often our quite unconscious parents. We then spend, I think, a great part of our young adult and into our adulthood trying to remember. And I don't think it's a seeking of why am I here or what is my purpose. It's I'm trying to remember what my purpose is. And I hear it all the time where people have these, and I'm one of them, have this awakening. And, it's not a wake up, it's an awakening. It's something that was dormant within, that is awakened, with the trigger of generally quite a big challenge or a painful experience. And that becomes the catalyst of, I know why I'm here. Yeah. I know why I'm here. I remember, as a psychic, I do have a lot of people come in and they have, just an intuitive guidance reading. My guides often turn that into a more of a therapy or mindset or spiritual kind of experience. But, they'll go, how do you know this? And I often say, you already know what I'm sharing with you on some level. The goosebumps, that's resonance. That's your soul going, yeah, I remember this. You're right, I remember. So very firm in, my belief that we all actually know our purpose, and it's about remembering. And we all know our power, but it's about remembering. And that's this human journey. It's kind of, trudging through these challenges until often it takes something really big to really shake us up and find that courage, that strength, that passion, and the purpose.
I can imagine such a journey. I guess can you take us back to the beginning of your journey and describe the moment of awakening that set you on your path as a healer and a soul guide?
Sure. So I almost 8 years ago. I was 8 months pregnant with my second child. I had a 3-year-old daughter as well. Um, Reasonably happy in my life, I felt, and working in jobs that I loved, always working with people in the heart field. And I lost my sister to suicide. And my sister and I were incredibly close. We were only a year apart. She had 4 children. She still does have 4 children, but when she was still here, she had them as hers in the physical. And that was what was my pivotal moment. I look back on that as the moment that everything changed. As you can probably imagine, it was, soul shattering, absolutely soul shattering. I was her Dr. Phil. I was the one that she would come to, and for me to not know it, and being psychic as well, Patty, although I wasn't practicing in the field, I was dabbling. Right, I had like a room set up. It was I want to do this one day, but what will everyone think? I was still in that space of I need to have a real job, a proper job, right? The judgment was still thick. And so I was quite frustrated with my guides. How could I not know? It was my job to save her. And there was an onslaught of, this rapid decline into severe depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder. I ended up having my baby by cesarean because my specialist, I'd had a cesarean previously, and the specialist said, look, we were trying for, to go naturally. And he said, let's just get the baby out, because I was in such a state. That experience took me to the depths of my soul. It was an incredibly dark time for quite some time. The first few months, I remember holding my baby and feeling nothing. It was like I was holding a brick. And, I'm so nurturing by nature. I am my first child. It was just so different to the first experience as a mother with my daughter. And I remember a couple of months after my sister had passed, I remember looking in, our glass doors at my husband, and he was holding the newborn and the toddlers running around, and he was, really doing a lot because I was not functioning very well at all. And I remember thinking, I can't do this. There's no possible way I can survive this. And I remember having this sensation of wanting to unzip from this human suit and leave my body. The pain was so intense that I actually considered at one point taking myself home. I remember thinking how many of my husband's, he's got epilepsy, how many of his tablets would I need to take? And, in that moment, I realized I really needed help. It was so scary for me to have those thoughts. It did gift me with a really deep understanding of my sister's journey. It took away the how could you leave your children? Mm-hmm. It took away the anger because I was able to really understand where she was coming from, to feel pain so great that I felt like I could not survive, that I was such a burden to my children. I had zero hope, Patty. I had zero hope and zero proof that I would ever be able to move through it. I think that's where the system's failing us in terms of mental health, because I went to doctors, I went to psychiatrists, psychologists, and I was really slapped with all the labels very quickly. Yes, you have depression, you have post-traumatic stress disorder, you have anxiety, and here's a tablet.
Yeah, that's their answer to everything. Yeah.
Right. And, I remember going, I don't have depression. My sister has died. Like, this is an experience that has triggered this. And I said, no, you're clinically depressed. We've given you the score. You're clinically depressed. This is what's going to help you. So I started seeking. And I'll say for a few months I sat in it. I took drugs. I didn't breastfeed my son because I need to escape this pain. It's too great. I started smoking marijuana. I was, doing other drugs on weekends. I, really started this self-sabotage because the pain and the vibration of the emotion I was feeling was so heavy. So as someone who was very asleep, I suppose, I matched that. What else can I put in my body that is of that same vibration of grief, heaviness, heartache, fear, pain? And so that's drugs, alcohol, right? It's matching the vibration. Mm. And I had a pivotal moment where I went to get my son a bottle, and I remember walking out to the kitchen and just falling to the ground. Mm. I fell to the ground and I was just completely beyond rock bottom. It was just this place of emptiness, complete and utter emptiness, but it was also the place of surrender. It was the place of awareness where I remember my husband coming out because obviously the baby was crying, waiting for the bottle, and he came out and he said, I need to take you to hospital. What can I do? He was so helpless. And then I started my journey of seeking. I Googled, I researched, losing a sibling to suicide. There was nothing. There was no hope anywhere that I searched. And I attended a retreat with a beautiful woman, Patria King. She runs a wellness retreat here in Australia. And she said to me in her story, she shared her story, and she said, I lost my brother to suicide when I was 30. And I just remember this light bulb moment of, you mean it's possible to survive this?
Yeah.
You mean there is a human who's had the same experience as me and they've survived? And that was all I was looking for, was hope.
Right.
And from that moment, it was this mission, of really coming home to myself, this mission of, I'm absolutely healing from this because I know it's possible now. So give me the formula. And this is when I, reconnected with my guides. This is when I was, going to many, many healers. I was learning about energy. I came into the breath, came back into my body. I completely eradicated the PTSD. That was quite severe. And panic attacks, constant panic attacks, and falling to the ground, and I'd be having an okay moment driving and suddenly almost blacking out. So it was really severe, and I went into the breath with that. And I started circular breathing, and I started meditating again, and I started softening to the pain, and that led me, deep into my heart space. And it was a moment that I remember thinking, I'm gonna get through this. Holy shit! Like I'm actually going to get through this. And it was, this. I have to save myself. I have to. I must. There was nobody to save me. My mother was very, very broken. I was the support network for everyone, right? So there was really nowhere to go. And it was, I must do this. I must save myself. And the journey thereafter was very much about learning or remembering, how we are here for these very experiences. How, death is actually not the end. How this grief portal really takes us to the depths of our soul and allows us to access parts of us that are dormant. That strength, that courage, and most importantly, coming back to your question, purpose. Purpose. I did not give a shit what anyone thought. After that, I actually remember going and getting, I had a friend with dreadlocks, and I said to him, put one in my hair. And he's like, what? I would have to be quite, I would present myself quite well, I thought. And I just had this thing of like, I need to make a bold physical statement to myself that I actually no longer am going to bother myself with what people think, of judgments of others, right? And so I had this big purple and blue dreadlock in the middle of my head, just a singular dreadlock. And that became my reminder of, I'm doing what I need to do. And when I kind of turned that corner, I couldn't go back. It was like, I have to tell people this. I have to let people know. And I remember I searched so hard, Patty, so I knew there was sort of such a gap in this market, I guess, not even market, but a gap in this type of experience that we all have as humans, a real gap. And I went, I have to do that. This is my purpose. And it was just so big and so completely consuming that it didn't matter what anybody around me said, because they spoke. There was a lot of judgment. I was just on this mission. It was a deep mission, to teach what I'd learned, to share what I'd remembered.
Yeah. I mean, because it's not something people talk about much, and it is true. If something, whatever, psychiatrists can tell you one thing, like you said yourself, they just label you and slap some medicine on you and that's it. But if having someone like same thing that spoke to you, when there's someone who went through it, it's like, wow, now it resonates. And now, if people aren't talking about it, somebody has to take that stand, and you're doing that, talking to people and say, I'm not proud of it, but this happens. And you know what? You can get through this. And people, if it's not something that's readily available or even spoken about, it's something people need, I mean, so many people don't know that there's an out, Oh,
That's right. And this is, for me, it's such a legacy for my sister.
Right.
The vision has always been, I'm 4 years into my business now, and the vision has always been, this legacy of hope and healing, this like blowing the whistle on suicide, in terms of, there's another way. There's, I'm not somebody who's just gone to university to study. Whilst I've got all these certifications, and I've really prided myself in learning, to have that as a foundation. The biggest thing is saying to somebody, hey, like, I get it. Like, whilst we all have different experiences, I have been in a position with 2 children and very seriously considered taking my life. And and I knew, because people go, oh, how, and with the judgment piece, right? They go, oh, how could you even consider that with children? I get how you can, because I did, right? And it is that very experience that really gives me the most as a healer, as a therapist. I think that a lot of the times what gets people in the door is this, yes, I'm a therapist, and yes, I'm a counselor, and I can support you with these strategies, with these tools. But once they're in the door, it often goes where it needs to go. And that's, that's often sharing. The things that I kind of had the shame around the most are the things that I often speak about the most, Patty, the drugs. My mother was a drug addict growing up, and I was so shameful of that my entire life, and I hated drugs. And, I had such shame my entire childhood around drugs. I didn't understand it. I just thought it was so silly. And none of my friends were in those worlds, right? They had teachers as parents. And, with my sister, it was drugs that kind of, I guess, was her journey home, when she took herself home. And throughout my learning, I undertook some really deep learning in CTC therapy, where we look at the subconscious mind and our behaviors and our mindset. And I remember sharing that I was a drug addict, that I'd become a drug addict. And it was so liberating to me. And it was just this feeling of, I actually don't need to have shame around that. And it's, in fact, a lot of the times the things we have shame around are the things that can help us support others, right? It's, I no longer feel the need to take any drug, because I was able to heal so deeply that I understood that was my pacifier. That was my dummy in adult form, right? That was what I leaned into. And it was also in my program. It was deeply programmed into me that this is what we do. And when I was able to heal, I went, the drug is not the enemy. That was the medicine that I leaned into at the time. It was, for me, an action of survival. And it was something that I now understand so deeply in terms of, a client coming to me on drugs. I go, okay, how is this serving you? There is some way that that's serving you on a conscious or unconscious, field that we can actually get to the bottom of, so that you no longer have that desire to take that. You no longer feel the need to escape. Or to disconnect from yourself, because drugs are largely a tool of disconnecting from self, and that's whether it's a recreational or street drug, or something the doctors prescribe, for pain and suffering mentally. And it's same thing, band-aids, it's band-aids, and
it's not the problem.
Right. And so, it can be quite confronting to someone I speak about that, but I'm very, motivated to share all of my story, not just the pretty bits. Not just the pretty bits. It's sharing all of it. It's being real and raw and speaking about the things that people don't speak about.
And you hit it right on the head. It makes you real. You're not just somebody who studied out of a textbook. You're a real person. Been there, done that. I've lived it. And you're showing people that you can get through this. It's like, when they say, like, an alcoholic on Alcoholics Anonymous, you're dealing, like, your sponsor is somebody who's been in your shoes, and you have to have faith that they know what they're talking about, and it's not easy, but they're there,
Right. And, when we have mental, I guess, disease, or, being unwell or disharmony mentally, what we are always going to be seeking is understanding. One of the most common things is feeling so misunderstood, like you just don't get it. And that's something that I'm able to bring to my clients. Like, whilst everybody's story is incredibly unique, I get it. Like, I've walked through those trenches. It might not have been the same height, or even the same texture, or the same depth, but I've been in the trenches. you know, and that's what people are seeking. That's, for me, I know what I was seeking, and, you know, my purpose is largely built around being who I needed. Being who I needed, and you know, it's definitely spilled out into other arenas in terms of speaking, you know, about mental health specifically, and about, you know, empowerment and finding your purpose. That's something I'm really passionate about, because that's, you know, what my awakening was about. Was I now look back and go, and yet there was a time for a few years I couldn't even speak about my sister without crying, and I now look back on that and it all makes so much sense, and I thank her, and I go, wow, like we planned this together. Like we planned for this experience for me to be who I am now, for me to support thousands of people on their journey. And I would not be where I am without her choosing to take herself home. It's no longer, you know, the meaning of that situation has been rewritten deeply in my conscious and unconscious mind, to now look back on that as the most powerful shift, you know, my biggest awakening. Painful to my you know, sleeping human at the time, but so powerful to my soul. So powerful.
Now, I guess the loss of a loved one can be profound and shape an experience. So how did the personal tragedy of losing your sister influence your approach to healing and helping others? I mean, you kind of mentioned how you were in that spot and wanted to help everybody else. So that's kind of, you said it, that's what redirected you there?
Yeah. I think it's the compassion piece and the authentic empathy. I actually lost a friend to suicide in high school, and I thought I truly understood loss. You know, for me, I thought I understood loss from that experience. And whilst that was incredibly painful for me as a teen, it was a drop in the ocean in comparison to the experience I had with my sister. And, you know, I think you're correct in saying it is a very profound experience, but something that we all as humans experience. We all experience the loss of a loved one, whether it is a sibling, mother, father, child. You know, we are all we're all experiencing this loss. And, you know, that has gifted me with a real softness and an openness, but also an awareness of the depths that it takes you, the real depths that it takes you. You know, and being able to have this passion and this compassion and this understanding of the freeze response, of, you know, the way it affects somebody physically, the way it affects somebody mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So having that first-hand experience definitely allows me to support others who have been through that. But more so, I guess it's, you know, knowing myself so deeply. I think it takes for us to have something really soul-shattering, and then choosing to remember and bring pieces back together to know yourself really deeply. And, you know, I think in my field, something I share is you can only connect with others as deeply as you've connected with yourself. And there is no deeper connection to self than the loss of a loved one. There isn't. It takes you, it's the same as that birthing pool, right? It takes you right in there, you know, to the depths of your being.
You're right. Now, I guess you mentioned transformation is your superpower. So can you give us an example of a transformative experience with a client that stands out for you?
Oh my God, yes, I can. Okay, so I'm going to speak, but I'm going to try and be quick here because I love a chat, Patty, as you can tell. You know, I launched my business in a tiny little town as a psychic, and I said, yes, I'm a therapist, and I'm all these things, a hypnotherapist, all the things, but psychic, right? And I had a lady come to me for a psychic reading, and she was a pub owner at the time, and I just looked at her and went, "What are you doing?" And my guides were screaming at me, and I'm a little bit of a employment agency for the other side, right? So if somebody's purpose is to be in the field of healing, then they'll generally come to me for something else, and my guides will support me in supporting them in transforming into their purpose, right? And this lady was working in a pub, and she had one session with me, and I, you know, reminded her of her purpose. I reminded her of, you know, she'd had a really deep story of healing herself, but she had a lot of shame, and I shared pieces to support her and gave her a lot of intuitive guidance in that session. She came back the following week for a CTC session, which is, you know, subconscious reprogramming, EFT, sort of emotional freedom technique, releasing the fears of being seen, the feelings of not being good enough, etc. She done some really deep work with me. Within 3 months, she had started her own healing studio in this tiny little town of Young in New South Wales. Flow healing and yoga. She had then decided that she had such a transformation with the therapy that I delivered to her, which is CTC therapy, combined therapy cocktail. So it's this beautiful mashup of lots of different therapies, that she actually went on to become a therapist in that field as well, because she went, oh my God, I must, similar to me in that I must show other people the way. And she is now, doing her own retreats. She is doing intuitive guidance sessions herself. She's a therapist now. She's doing yoga teaching, and she's truly liberated. She's truly liberated, and she's 50 years old. She's spent most of her life knowing she had a purpose, but feeling not good enough and feeling fearful of judgment of others. So that's probably one of the biggest transformations on a professional level. And then, very briefly, many people have come to me. One lady in particular, she's coming to mind, after a breakup and, quite a traumatic relationship ending. And she was severely depressed, heavily medicated, very heavily medicated and very depressed, and couldn't see a way forward. And, we had a journey together, and she's still in my world. She's a regular client. She has beautiful sessions just as sort of maintenance for her soul. And she no longer takes medication. She was not able to sleep. She was drinking. She was, all the things. And she's very, very happy with who she is and how she is. She is no longer taking any medication. She sleeps like a baby. She has deepened the relationships with her children. And it's something that I see all the time, because I often say to clients, I will not tell you what you want to hear. I'm sorry. I'm not that person that you come to and, you get rainbows and lollipops and your life's going to be amazing. You're going to hear what you need to hear in order to transform, because I've never had a client come to me, Patty, who has really remembered all of their power. Right. I am a light, and that is my intention. I'm very intentional in the clients I bring in. So people who come to me are ready. They're ready for a transformation in some way, shape or form. So I'm seeing it really regularly, in my clients.
That's pretty awesome.
It's so incredibly rewarding. I absolutely love what I do. One session may be intuitive guidance. The next session we'll be doing some hypnotherapy or guided meditation or timeline therapy, or connecting with loved ones on the other side, because I'm a medium as well. So it's truly, if you are not truly and authentically happy in every area of your life, come to me. You don't need to know the next step. That's my job, to support you in remembering that. Come to me and let me support you in your transformation, right? And then it's, my own experience, my guides, my intuitive capabilities that supports my clients in getting that transformation. It's, let's build that bridge to the other side, and help you activate what you need to get there.
Wow. Definitely good stuff, though. Now, you've been successfully booked since you launched your business. So to what do you attribute this immediate success? And what advice do you give to others hoping to find similar fulfillment in their work?
Very simple. I am in complete alignment with my soul purpose, right? The driver is so pure. For me, it's so pure that it's the energetics behind my business. It's, I am here to support people. I am here to empower people, and I am here to heal, to help people remember. And so I have energetically this massive light, and people come. I have a lot of referrals, a lot. People go, oh, I don't know why I'm here. I'm just being told to come.
Right.
My success is not, I use very little strategy, I'll be honest. And whenever I love learning, so I'll often have a business coach or a mentor myself, and they'll go, oh, you need more strategy. You need, this. And I go, well, no, I'm just doing what feels really aligned. And the offers that I create, the webinars, the retreats, it's all intuitively driven. It's all what I feel is needed at the time. And, it's my success in the fact that I have been fully booked and 4 to 6 weeks out in advance from day one is that it's clean. It's a clean business. It's clean energetically. I know why I'm here, and I know what my purpose is, and I'm doing it. And I'm very intentional in that. Very intentional. I've worked on the energetics, and I've supported myself in that way. And my advice to others is find your purpose. And it's an old saying, everyone's heard it, find your purpose and you'll never work a day in your life. It's so true. It's true. For the first little while in my business, I would pinch myself because I'm like, I'm getting paid for this. What? And now it's, I get to be abundant. That was another lesson for me. It was, my crisis was so little when I started because I went, it's my duty as a human. And then I went through growth and went, hold on, like I get to actually be abundant. I get to have balance. I get to, be able to be home with my children and work and have, this beautiful income that supports me in being this best version of myself for not only my circle, but for my clients, right? So find your purpose, find your passion. We all have one. Remember it. Remember it. That's the key to your success. Often I'll see people in businesses where they're doing it just for money. And they may actually make a lot of money, but the money will drop straight through their fingers because it's not in alignment with their purpose. So therefore they're living in lack and it's never enough. Right. Or they'll have the layers on them where, I just want to have the big house and the big cars. So they'll be having a job that, pays a lot of money, which should be happy, but they're kind of pouring it out in all these other ways and still not feeling happy and not feeling success. Right? Not having success, because it's not their purpose. Purpose is at the core of success. It is the absolute pillar of success. And it's, as I'm a business mentor as well, so people come to me and we go, are you in alignment with your purpose? And, let's release the lack. Let's release the lack and come into this beautiful, abundant place because there is enough for everyone, no matter what your industry is. Right. There is a place for all of us, and you can't lie. You can't trick yourself. You can maybe trick others that you're happy, but you can't trick yourself. And if you're not authentically happy, if you don't wake up excited for work, you're not in your purpose.
And it's hard because, most of us were, brought up and raised, you have to have a job, you have to make money, you have to support your family, blah, blah, blah. Right. And that's just, we go on autopilot, but it doesn't, they don't teach you in school, how to find your purpose. So we just go through winging it, really.
Yeah, we do. And I think, I work with a lot of people of all different ages and I see it, it was a generational thing. People were raised at a time where oh my God, we're so grateful to just have a job. If you've got a job in anything, be grateful for that and you stay in it. And this is where the subconscious mind comes in. And that's maybe another day for a chat around that in particular, Patty. But, the programming that is passed on to you as a child becomes, the way that you see the world and your beliefs around work. And, if your parents worked really hard in jobs that they hated, then you're going to be doing the same thing unless you remember, unless you wake up. And, I'm here to pull the pin on that as well. We actually get to be in our purpose. And I think that COVID, as a global, collective, COVID really gifted us with this ability to remember, people were kind of paused from the rat race and had this moment to reflect, well, am I actually happy? And so many people have changed careers since then because you know what? They got to stop. They got to stop. It was a pause in this autopilot. This autopilot. And so, now we have this collective that's remembering, and it's never too late. I actually connected with a woman on Monday who's 74 years old. Wow. 74. And she's now reclaiming her power and reclaiming her energy, and she's releasing all of these old patterns, and not for her career wise, but certainly for her to create her happiness. Right. To remember that she can create her happiness because she was too raised at a time where children to be seen, not heard. When you're a teenager, you support your family. As a young adult, you then have children and then you support them. And it doesn't matter what you do as long as you have got money. You just work for money. Money. You don't worry about being happy. No one's happy. Yeah. You just keep going, right? Yeah. So, we're all waking up. This is what's happening. Everyone's remembering at the moment and realizing that, you actually, the secret is you can have it all.
Yeah, you just have to talk to you.
Well, you know what? You just have to be around somebody. Get yourself in the room with people who get it, with people who are doing the things, right? My life is absolutely not rainbows and lollipops. Let me just say that, right? I still have challenges because I'm human, right? So I'm constantly growing. There's still moments where I'm like, oh my God, I have a self-healing day every week. I'm, really doing the work consistently. It's not about just, I remember I can have a purpose and now I'm going to go and do that. There's no challenges, right? In terms of my success, yes, the clients always came, but did I have to work on balance in my business? Yes. Did I have to find a place to rent out and take this absolutely huge leap from a learning support teacher into a psychic? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did I have to work through the judgments of others? Yes. So yes, there's always going to be work to do, but you're going to be working anyway in this human form. So isn't it best to be working towards and in your purpose and working to be happy as opposed to working and feeling unhappy?
Absolutely. Now tell me, running group programs and retreats, it can be incredibly rewarding. So can you tell us about one of your most memorable group healing sessions and the impact it had?
Yeah. Look, I'm going to go to the first weekend retreat that I facilitated in a beautiful bush setting, these beautiful cabins, and I had 17 women, and I was pregnant at the time, and, it was so, so, so powerful. The women coming together. I think whenever women come together to heal, there's this beautiful alchemy. There's always going to be this web of connection between women, and I've always found that so bizarre as a human. I've always just thought, this is so wild. What, you're a teacher and you're a teacher? You both have a child with special needs. You both have this experience. And this is what happens when you work in intention. And for that retreat, it was Friday through to Sunday. Not only did I prove to myself that I was able to do that, it was the women in that space, still now, a couple of years later, speak about that being so pivotal for them. It was a whole weekend to themselves. And I taught on mindset, on energetics, on self-love, on putting yourself first, on filling your cup so that you can fill the cup of others. And we went through a process of anger release. And I remember the moment, you can find it on my page on Instagram, where I took all the women deep into the bush and led them in a vocal release. This really primal experience of absolutely letting go. Mm-hmm. And it was such a shift in the group from that moment. Mm-hmm. So I think, when women come together, it's always really powerful. I have I have like a Moon's Eye membership where women are in this membership, and we do full moon and new moon webinars, and we work together, and it's really powerful every time we come together. But I think the retreat stands out for me because it was my first really big one, where I was able to go, wow, look at this. Huge.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, tell me, with the belief that everyone has the ability to reset and pivot, what's the first step that you suggest to someone looking to make a significant change in their life?
I think you need to want to. Okay. For me, I only attract clients who are ready, and that is an absolute belief in my business. You need to want to. You don't need to know how. Like, I will support you with the how. There's other people that can support you with the how. But you need to want to shift. And it is as simple as that. If you are, struggling and you are sitting in victimhood and you actually don't want to come out of that, then I'm not your person. And I think that the journey is still quite long. I think the moment of going, I no longer want to be in this. That's the moment of transformation. That's the moment where you get to reset. That's the moment where you can remember the how. The how's kind of the easy bit. It's the having the awareness. And I think this is why it's important for me to continue sharing my story, because it's waking people up. It's making people go, hold on, what? Yeah, actually, I'm not happy, because people get used to their own normal. Right. They get used to it. They get used to this normal. And they think that this is all life is. I've just got to slag along and just do this. So part of my sort of mission is going, hold on, like you can heal from that. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to keep escaping,
No, it is true, because, everybody goes through, especially if that's how you were raised, your mom and dad, this one works, this one's ever home, this one's fighting. It's just normal. Right. And, it's really, nobody ever tells you that there's, rainbow at the end of this. You can actually change it.
Right.
Everything with them is, you know, I've known people to go to, like, you know, counselors and psychs, and, you know, they're just paying, getting nothing out of it. You know, so
Right.
nobody's looking for a cure because they're making money that way. So having someone to
Right.
say,
Absolutely.
this can be helpful, you know, and like
Yeah,
you said,
absolutely.
you being a prime case study saying, I was there, you know, look at me now. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I share all the time, you know, it's for me, it's so powerful when people see someone like I'm relatable, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Like I've got
sure.
3 kids, I've got a husband, like I was raised in the ghetto, like I'm not, you
Yeah.
know, I didn't have the picket fence, but yet I now, you know, have the dream home, and I have this life that I absolutely love. We're about to travel Australia in caravan,
Right.
you know. So it's proof. Nothing was
Yeah.
handed to me ever. And, you know, I think that it is our duty on a soul level. If you found the way, share it.
Yeah.
Share it. And you know, I don't have all the answers by all means. No one does. I think, you know, this is a constant journey of remembering, growing, and learning. I think that when you finished healing, you die. That's ascension.
Yeah.
You know, I still see healers. I still, you know, I recently lost my mom. My first thing I did was have a session with a healer. Like, even though I'm a healer,
Yeah.
still very human. But I do also know that we don't have to settle. And that's why part of my message, you don't have to settle. That's an old paradigm. That's the old way. Is settling. We now live in this beautiful, abundant world where we have access to so much. We get to be more. We get to have more.
Yeah. No, for sure. And people need to realize that. Yeah. That's
Right.
great. So now, I guess, Amanda, tell us, what's the message of hope and inspiration that you want to leave the audience today, especially for those people seeking to find their own path to healing and purpose?
Yeah, I think it's very, very simple. If you are not authentically happy with the life that you are living, there are changes to be had. There's things for you to remember. There's parts of you to access. You know, you can be more, you can have more, because you can do more. You can shift, you can pivot at any moment. At any moment. You know, it doesn't matter what you've been through. I think if you can remember that we are here to grow and we are here to experience the humanness, then we can start reframing, you know, what these challenges are actually doing. Remembering that it's for us, not to us.
Right.
Remembering, you know, and accepting that the human journey is going to be this grow and this glow. You know, and the grow is like the pain, suffering, the challenges, the you know, heaviness, the shadow side, that people hide, push down, escape from, distract from. This is where we actually expand on a soul level. This is the medicine. This is where we remember who we are. This is where we get to the depths of our soul. This is where we can connect with our purpose. This stuff, that's the rainbows and lollipops. It's great. It's fun. You can manifest well from this space. You know, the everything's amazing and I'm in alignment. Like it's awesome to be here. But this grow is really where it's at. Right. And, you know, you can take, I'm being fed something from my guides here, Patty, and I love this. It's, you know, you can take, the power from your pain, or you can allow the pain to take your power.
That's true.
You get to choose.
Nice.
There's nothing magic about me. I'm just the same as everyone else. We get to choose, right? We're all intuitive. We all have, you know, intuitive abilities. We all have this ability to reset, you know, to shift, to transform.
Wow. Absolutely amazing. Now, you work with people around the world, right? They don't have to be awesome. So everybody else looking get happy in your life. Reach out.
No, it's a global movement. I think, you know, people go, oh, what, you know, you need to like niche down and, you know, have a certain person. I go, well, if they're breathing, if they're human, if they're in human form, they're my people, right? If they are ready for a change, if they're ready for a change, come on in. I connect with people all over the world. The only in-person work I'm doing at the moment is retreats and, you know, speaking, gigs, but all of my work is via Zoom, and, you know, that allows me to connect with people far and wide. To me, it's absolutely no different whether this person is via Zoom on the other side of the world or whether they are physically in front of me. The, you know, result is the same.
Now, anything else you want to add? Anything going on? Anything new happening? That we
I am
know
about
where
to travel. We're about to travel Australia, and we're about to. I'm doing a little bit of a restructure in my business, so I will be offering women's circles around the country as I travel. I'm always open, and I will say this: I am always open for opportunities to share my story. And I'm always open to support people on a larger scale. So, if you are in a setting where you have a large team of people who are not motivated, or you feel aren't doing the best that they could in business, then I'm able to speak to your corporate staff as well and come in and facilitate some mindset, work to support them. I'm always open to share, and I'm always open to spread. To spread the message, to spread the light. I think that if we can all remember, if we can all remember that it's our duty to do that, then we're all going to be kind of up leveling and creating this new world. And that's the idea, isn't it? It's creating the shift for our children and our children's children, and really remembering as beings how powerful we are. So yeah.
Very, very nice. Well, again, thank you for being on the show. That was Amanda Harris. So thanks for listening to Successful Minds with Patty B. Never miss an episode by subscribing. So thank you again.
Thank you so much, Patty. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Successful Minds with your host, Patricia Barnowski-Schneider. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we'll see you on the next episode.